cold. Welcome back to my channel. It's been 2 months. Not much has happened in those 2 months. I like to film everything I do. That was my mom. So to discuss on what these next coming weeks are going to be in store. It doesn't really make sense, but you get the idea. So fuel system, electrical, and brake lines. So to start with fuel, I managed to scoop up a Aeromotive 15-gallon fuel cell, and in the fuel cell it has a Stealth 340 pump by Aeromotive, of course. It's good up to 750 horsepower and on pump gas, and it was just something that I wanted to upgrade. Clearance-wise, where the stock S13 fuel tank was, I didn't have a low-profile jack, and every time I'd go to jack the ass end of the car up, I would hit the tank, and I would have had to upgrade the fuel pump regardless because I'm running a engine that has 2 times as many cylinders. So I was like, you know what, I'll buy something that I could grow into if I wanted to boost the engine that I'm putting in now. I won't have that problem of having not enough fuel and having to do it later down the road. So that's why I invested in this. The lines that I'm going to be running is -8 clear, or -8 all the way around the engine. So from the pump all the way to the Aeromotive regulator will be -8, and then the return line will also be -8, and then the fuel rail lines going to the actual fuel rails are -8 as well. Now to talk about wiring. I have a little bit of a crazy idea for how I want to wire this thing and the switches I want to use, which I'll talk about more when it actually happens, because I don't know if it's going to work. I think I worked out a plan on how it was, and I found a couple little electronics that might be able to make this happen. And to talk about brake lines, which is actually what we're going to do today. The stock S13 brake lines, in my opinion, aren't necessarily the most attractive looking when you open the engine bay. So what I mean by that is when you open the engine bay, the stock brake lines, there's about, I think, 3 or 4 of them that come off the master cylinder and run directly along the top of the firewall. And me personally, I think that's kind of an eyesore. It doesn't really look that nice, in my opinion. Some people might disagree. So I wanted to just completely redo them. A lot of people, they'll grab those brake lines and tuck it under this little lip in the firewall. But I'm like, you know what? I'll completely rerun some lines. So I bought a kit from, I think, Jegs, and it's 3/16 line, and I bought the correct fittings for each brake caliper and off the master cylinder. So I'm just going to completely be running brand new lines, and I'm going to try to make it so you can't see them, and I think that would really be cool. And also another reason why I am doing this is the previous owner had a hydraulic e-brake in the car, but he didn't run a dual caliper setup in the back. So what he did was he took the stock brake lines and kinked it midway through the car and made it so when he pushed his pedal pushed his foot on the pedal, it only locked up the front brakes, and the back brakes was completely run for a hydraulic e-brake. Not necessarily the correct way to do it. I don't know how it turned out for him, but regardless, it's whatever. So that's something that we're going to do today. Also, it's cold. As you might be able to see in the footage every time I talk, you can see steam coming out because it's in the single digits right now. So I invested in a nice space heater and just bought it today. I had a little propane one that worked, but it didn't really work as well as I wanted it to. So now that I have this Big Daddy space heater that runs off diesel, I'll be able to run and basically do whatever I want in here. I've seen footage of big drift daddies out there, like doesn't even matter. I've seen them run these type of heaters in their garage, and they're able to paint. That's how hot they can get their garage at. So I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna jack the car up as high as I can get it off the ground because I gotta lay under it, and starting brake lines. And I'll probably wear a head mount for this because I think they're pretty neat. So let's get to it. So I've gotten to the point where I actually ran out of brake cable. I only bought 25 feet when I should have bought a little more, just from messing up because I've never done this before. So I ordered some 10 more feet of cable, or of brake line, and also the actual front is basically done, and I started to run the line to the back of the car, but I've gotten to the point where I have to drop the rear subframe, which is good because also on the way is new subframe bushings. I wanted to buy solid subframe bushings and a couple of the little things, and I want to drop the diff, and I think the previous owner welded it, so I want to just crack it open and see what kind of weld is in there, and if it's a good one. If it's not like just barely holding on by a thread, and if so, I'll either correctly fix it and do a good job on it, or I'll purchase a new diff and either buy a limited slip or just weld another one, but we'll see. So right now I'm gonna climb under the car, undo the bolts for the rear subframe, drop it down, slide it over in the other garage stall, and just start tearing it apart and cleaning it, and maybe repainting it too, making it look good. So that's what you're gonna see next. Now I'm taking a break because I got the pumpkin out of the car, as you can see. I can't necessarily do anything. I'm not going to crack it open right now. I'll crack it open, do an inspection, and probably clean it and see how the weld is and everything like that. But now that the rear subframe is out, I'm going to go back under the car and finish the actual brake line, mount the T so it splits for each individual brake caliper, and then I can basically be done with that. And while it's out, while the subframe's out, I'm also, for later down the road, once I invest in 5 lug hubs, and I just actually bought the PBM drop knuckles so I can run dual calipers, I am going to buy or set up inevitably what I'm getting at is setting up the hydraulic e-brake lines. I'll probably make them, set everything up, and I'll put some tape on it so nothing gets inside of it. So as soon as I gather the money to invest in some new rims and tires, 5 lug hubs, and I think that's all I need, then I'll be able to actually run the hydraulic e-brake. But as of right now, just gonna start running brake lines, so that's what you're gonna see. So this is a couple of days later. I am working on something a little different. After pulling the subframe out, I finally managed to get my hand on some sheet aluminum for my little fuel cell project. I went on metaldepots.com. I bought some sheet aluminum. It's like a 1/4 inch thick, and now I got to cut it to size. So let me flip the camera around. So this is basically out of cardboard, which I'm using as a template just to get the angles right, you know. This is basically what it's going to look like. It's going to be perfectly flat. and I just use the cardboard to get up nice and tight in spots. And I'll probably lay another sheet on top of this and get everything just perfect. And then I'm gonna put this on top of the sheet aluminum, which I have right there, and just make it perfect. And then I'll drill holes to where the 2 frame rails, which come like right here and right here. I'll just drill some anchors into there, and it should look nice and pretty like. So we're gonna keep doing that. So let's get to it. Yeah. Alright, so this is a couple of days later. Update on the car. The brake lines are done. I bled it, but you can't go too far because it doesn't have rotors on it, and the brakes don't have anything to squeeze on. So I'm gonna do one last final bleed when I put the shoes back on. Also, I took off my lower control arms off the front, and knuckles, basically every suspension component off the front with the exception of the tension bars, because there's a company called Villain Racing or Villain Enterprises or something like that, and a big thing in drifting is to want to have the most angle you possibly can, but the thing is those kits that the professional guys use are thousands of dollars, which I can't spare that kind of money for that kind of component. So I did a little research, found these guys, and what they do is they take the stock components and they extend it in one spot and they shorten another, and they throw a couple doodads here and there. And you could potentially have close to the angle that you would get off these $1,000 kits or $2,000 kits. So that's what I did. It was really just exactly what I needed, because I always thought, I'm like, you know what, it's gonna be pretty shitty if I get this car going and I don't have any angle, and then I'm gonna have to jack the front up and drop everything and wait. So I was like, you know what, the car's already on stands, I might as well do it. So I sent those away to get done. Right now, behind me, as you can see, the rear subframe is sitting on these stands. Pretty solid too. I bought PBM drop knuckles, which allow me to run dual brakes in the back, which would be great. And oh wow, I didn't notice that. There it goes. So right now I'm gonna drop rotors, drop the knuckle. Here you go. Here's better. Drop rotors, drop knuckle, separate the axle, and probably massage these rounds with a little bit of WD or something, because they haven't probably moved in a little while. But as you can see, I don't know what company these are, but these are fully adjustable, so that'll be nice. And I also bought rear subframe, solid subframe bushings, to only find out that the previous owner did them. So I'm in the process of sending the ones that I bought back, so I can get my money back, or just store credit is what they said they're gonna give me, because they can't give me money refund, or at least 100%. So yeah, so right now I'm gonna set up the stand, put you guys on a tripod, and go to town on pulling this axle off. So all right. Woo. After cracking off the control arms, I quickly realized that I'm gonna need a second set of hands for pulling out the axle nut, just because it's not necessarily the
easiest nut to take off, and every single time I turn it, the axle turns. So I'll probably make a tool that will screw onto the lug nuts or something, and I can have someone else hold, and so I can crank on it. I tried putting a pipe wrench on the axle, but it just kept like binding, and I didn't want to like put too much stress on it. So right now, I'm probably gonna climb into the car and either mount the seat that I have. Oh, actually, hold on. Show and tell time. So since I gutted the interior, I do not have any, what's it called? Any seat belts anymore. So I went up and ventured up north to someone on Craigslist, and he was actually selling a harness bar. And here it is. It's black, but still, it's fucking solid. I'm stoked about it. It came out. I was a little skeptical because it was for an S14, but he assured me that it was. Hold on, let me see if I can get you guys a better light. He assured me that it was a universal one for all S chassis. So that's a little better. I'm just using my phone light, but it's great. It should work out nicely. But yeah, I'm stoked for that. Maybe I should just mount the seat. I haven't done that yet. So I'm sitting on this little cardboard. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go get that thing. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been some time since I have posted anything. Been going through a lot of parts collecting and then just doing little odds and ends, but really haven't been hitting the race car hard since the last time that there was a video. I did do a lot, which we'll go over, and I have some footage that I'll sprinkle in here and there, but now we're gonna start hitting it hard again, making a lot of videos and stuff like that. Stuff to go over. Let's just take a walk. A plate. So we've got some, I think it's 1/4 inch or something along those lines. Aluminum plate that I cut the bottom of the trunk out. You can see it on the side better. So here's the plate, cut the bottom of the trunk out. I'm gonna riv nut this into place on the frame rails and on the front. And then also, this is where the fuel cell is gonna sit. So my buddy, he's good at riveting. He riveted in some angle iron right here on all 4 sides with a foam pad and foam under the actual fuel cell. And then there's gonna be 2 straps going over the top. And this thing's not going anywhere. This thing's solid in there. We did the stainless steel braided lines, PTFE lines, -8 for there and return. And then I have a fuel filter by Summit Racing right here, and then we made a little bracket to hold it in place. And you'll notice that this line is a little longer, which I wanted, because so if I'm at the track and someone needs to bump some gas or something, or I run out of gas, or I don't even know how, think of an example, but I can undo it from a fuel filter, take it out, turn on the battery, flip on the pump, and just dump it wherever I gotta go. Ooh, it's bright. Alright, a little update. So last night, I didn't want to get on video because it wasn't the most agile thing that I've ever done on this car. But the rear is in, as you can see. I finished the hydro. I got some good footage on that. I finished the plumbing under the car, I should say. And I worked a little bit on where the hydro is going to get mounted, but nothing official yet. Right now I'm connecting the coil over on this side. The other side I'll do next. But yeah, putting in the rear subframe by yourself was not easy, especially because it wasn't like right next to the car. I had to carry it from the other bay over to here, which sucked. But I managed to get it in there after a couple hours. But yeah, we'll just get some footage. I'm connecting this coil right now, then we'll do the other side. And then the car doesn't really have to be on stands back here anymore. So I kind of want to throw on the biggest tire I have, which are the Myro 398s. And they're like 235s, I think, just to see how they fit. I put the coilover's ride height to like the maximum right now, and then I'll just slowly bring it down. I'm pretty sure I have to roll these fenders. Even looking at it right now, I'm curious to see how these things fill out. But we'll get there. Right now, coilovers, and then let's probably put this thing on the ground. And then I have to do the front suspension, the Villains racing stuff. But yeah, let's keep going. How's that angle right there? Is that okay? Yeah, that's cool enough. No rotor, and the front is still on stands, which is okay, but damn, I like that offset. And those are big tires. I mean, they're 245s. I'm sorry, they're not 235s, 245s. Those are pretty large. Dang, that's cool. I'm gonna call my dad. All right, well, it's on the rear tires for the first time. I'm super happy with the fitment. I know that it's just gonna get even better and more tighter. I gotta adjust the ride height on the other side, but it's like, it's there. I was a little skeptical about buying such a big offset with these. There was a lot of people saying that like, oh, stock suspension rubs, this, that, and the other. And I still need an alignment, but from what I can tell, I got plenty of clearance on the current setup. Now I just gotta do the front. But before I do that, I'm gonna climb inside, finish the hydro. I already got the fitment down. I made a plate, it's sitting inside the car. You'll see in a second. I'm gonna rock a head gam for this. But the back half, all the lines are running between the subframe and the actual body. So I got a bunch of extra slack up front, so I'm just gonna bend it up. I'm gonna mount the hydro and then plumb it, and then that will be done. The only thing I'll have to do is actually bleed it, and then that will take 10 minutes, but I need rotors to actually bleed them. And then once that's done, I'm gonna work with a steering rack because I gotta put in the new tie rods. And I bought new boots to throw on there too because the other old ones are crappy. Some new lines, put that in, and once that's done, really the only thing that has to go in is the engine, and then I gotta do some wiring. I'm still waiting for that harness. Probably be here hopefully next week. But yeah, that'd be sick. I'm making moves, and I'm starting to get like that encouragement again. I lost it a little bit just because I'm like, like nothing's coming together yet. But now all the stuff is coming together. I'm starting to feel it again. So let's keep going.